What's going on, guys? Dan Watson, learningcameras.com, and this is the Sony A7S Mark II. Now, this camera caught me completely by surprise. It was only a couple weeks after I just finished my review on the Sony A7R II, and we had another awesome camera, very unexpected, from Sony. So I've had the chance now to put it through its paces. I've shot some weddings, shot some landscapes, so definitely going to see what this camera can do and if it might be a worthy successor to the first version, or if this might be the camera to push you over to the edge for Sony for your video cameras. Now, even the original Sony A7S still holds its own against any other camera in the marketplace. Even though we don't have 4K recording internally, we do through an external recorder, and you're talking about video quality that's great. A light source, I mean, you can use a moon for a light source. That camera is so good in low light. And overall, it's just an unbelievable camera with the features that it provides. Well, now in the Sony A7S II, we have internal recording, 4K to the SD card, which is one of the main features to get this, XAVC at 100 megabytes per second, and also we're dealing with the 5-axis image stabilization from other cameras in body into this camera, which is a pretty amazing feature. We also have S-Log 3, which is brand new, and so overall we just have some improvements on this camera that might make it just good enough to make it worth your while. So let's take a look and see some of the other things and what this camera can do. Now, when it comes to ergonomics and the overall use of the camera, this camera is almost identical to the Sony A7S, so definitely check out the review on that and get some of the impressions. And overall, you have tons of buttons, tons of customization on there, all of the features you can want in there buried into the menus. The problem is these menus still suck. There's nothing better improvement on that. We also have some of the worst ergonomics that I've ever seen in a video camera. We have a record button that's almost impossible to press with no tactile feel. It's just kind of a jumbled mess over this. We have one SD card, no touch screen, and so it's really difficult to move that focus point around. Now, we do have a focus points now improved to 169 points, but again, that doesn't really help you if it's so hard to move those points right around the frame. In fact, every issue that I had with the original A7S really still exists with the A7S II. The battery still lasts basically an hour at best. You have one SD card, and overall, it's just not a fun camera to use. In addition, we still have no f2.8 zoom lenses without adapters, and while the lens selection and quality options have been massively improved, those are going to cost you quite a bit. And so, while I was quick to excuse these downsides with the original A7S, if Sony is serious about bringing the A7S series to videographers, these are things that are just not excusable anymore. If this camera is going to be tailored for me as a videographer, then they really need to start working and improving on the ergonomics. But just as I'm starting to get a little bit mad at Sony for the poor ergonomics, I hit the play button and watch this 4K full-frame camera that fits in my palm and takes video, really on par with cameras costing 3 times as much. I mean, with the same 12 megapixel sensor, the quality hasn't changed too much, but we now have full 4K recording in a camera with a full sensor readout, and things just look amazing. While autofocus has technically been improved from the original A7S with more points, it still lacks compared to the A7R II and even other competitors like the Canon's dual pixel system and the Samsung NX1 are still going to be better for me. For single point photographs, I had no issues whatsoever. Everything was quick and smooth, but tracking was too slow and unpredictable to be using reliably. We lose the ability in this camera to focus with third-party lenses like the A7R II had, and that's going to be unfortunate. But again, things are better than the original A7S, but after coming from the A7R II, which performed quite well when it comes to autofocus, I can't help but feel the performance is just a downgrade. The 5-axis image stabilization on the A7S II works extremely well, and I was able to handhold 50mm shots without support systems, and they do have a great look. Photographers are also going to appreciate this ability, but with the A7R II out, I really just don't see a huge reason for photographers to be purchasing the S2, as the A7R II is going to be one of the greatest photo cameras around. That said, the in-body image stabilization system on the A7S II is a significant feature for videographers, and it really makes it exceptionally easy to travel light with an awesome video camera, no external monitors or recorders, and no support systems. The arrival at S-Log3 also makes grading a bit easier, and with a minimum ISO of 1600 instead of 3200, it's easier but still difficult to pull off in daylight without stacking too many ND filters. There's some additional features like uncompressed 14-bit RAW files and a better shutter mechanism that photographers will appreciate to a certain degree. Overall, the A7S II has really proved that Sony is ready to make its mark on the videography market with a camera like this. I mean, if you need a small camera that's capable of going without support system and external monitors, this really gives you the quality of an expensive camera without having to port those systems and at a fraction of the cost of something like a C500 or an FS5. That said, Sony has really done nothing to improve ergonomics on this camera, and we're still stuck with many of the same issues that I had with the original A7S. And for most people, I would say I would actually direct you to the A7R II, which had better autofocus performance and better stills and a couple other features that I kind of missed on this camera. However, if you're purely focused on video, it's really hard to argue with the quality that you're able to get from a camera this small and in this kind of price range compared to the competition. I mean, Sony could definitely use a lot. Just looking at some of the competition from something like the GH4 and the NX1, which are a little bit better when it comes to usabilities and ergonomics. But when it comes to straight up quality, if you're looking for a solid video camera in this kind of price range, maybe as a B camera to an FS5 or something like that, this camera really offers you all the features you could want as a pro videographer and the quality you could want in such a small and really an amazing package. So I would definitely highly recommend that. Now again, check out all of the stuff that we've got on learningcameras.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're going to post some of these video files on the website and some of the images from this uncompressed so that you can download them. So head over to learningcameras.com right now and check out the information for this camera. And again, if you guys use the links when purchasing these cameras, it really helps things out around here. So hope you enjoyed that. It's really a cool camera. Thanks to Sony for just keeping on challenging and bringing out a new camera all the time. I really got to say that I love the way that they're moving the market forward with cameras like these. They just keep getting better and they keep making some improvements. So now all we need is a little bit more focus on the ergonomics and usability side, and we could have some awesome cameras from Sony. So stay tuned for what's coming out, and hope you enjoyed this.